Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Empowered Mama Summit. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, I have Dr. Gwen Smith, who is a professional business and success coach, author, speaker, and somebody who loves empowering women. So thank you, Dr. Gwen, for being here with us today. Will you share with the moms and the women that are tuning in a little bit about what you do?
Sure. First of all, Carmen, thank you so much for inviting me on your summit. And what I do is I empower women. I help women to find what they really love. There are so many women these days who I'm finding who are becoming frustrated with their 9-to-5 positions, and they're not exactly sure what they can do or what they want to do. I help them discover what it is that they love. I can give them a passion test, which helps them to find their top 5 passions. And then beyond that, if they're a career or professional woman, I do help them to either get that promotion that they want or to skyrocket their business profits. So mainly, I help people get what they want from the inside out, is how I like to describe it, because I believe that every bit of success first starts on the inside.
I love that so much. I think that's absolutely true, right? The true form of empowerment is that, it kind of comes from inside, right? This power is
Absolutely.
internal. Um, and I know that you love, empowering women to kind of, figure out where they want to be in terms of their career and business, et cetera, but really just, living an empowering life. So the
Absolutely.
question for you is, and it's kind of related in that we're living, you help women create these empowered lives, which ultimately lead to their legacy. And what does legacy mean to you?
Mm. That's a huge question for me because I don't feel like I am just a coach with a position that is giving me income. I feel like I have a calling to make a difference on this planet. And leaving a legacy means that I'm going to answer that call, whatever that call is, for you, for me, that comes from inside. A lot of times we can get on this treadmill of life and we get stuck with the things that are happening out there, with what we think we should be doing. And there is a voice, an inner voice that's calling us, that's telling us, that's guiding us to where we need to go. And oftentimes we don't pay attention. We go off into our thoughts or patterns of training and all of those other things and keep silencing that voice inside. And the thing that I find is when you listen to that voice inside, then you are beginning to leave a legacy for people who are on this planet, because we don't all have the same legacy to leave. That legacy is your mark. What are you here for? What are you going to be leaving on this planet? Your footprints, your handprint, whatever it is, your mark to make a difference in the life of someone else. And when you leave that legacy, only you can leave that legacy the way you can. And so that is why every single person has to know what is his or her passion. What are you here for? And live that passion in a complete way so you can leave that mark for someone that is coming. And I'll really add one more thing, Carmen. I'll say this, that if every single human being should tune in and listen, then I don't believe the suffering that we have on this planet would be half as much, because someone else is waiting for the gift that you have, the gift that I have, that only you or I can bring in the way we can bring it to humanity. And so somebody is waiting for our gift. It doesn't mean we have to run away from our jobs or whatever we're doing, but we can tune in and follow that and leave a legacy, leave a difference, leave a mark for someone here on this planet. And you can tell I'm really passionate
Yeah,
about
I was like, I love
it.
so much about what you're saying because, clearly we are on the Empowered Mama Summit. And so the summit and the speakers that I, asked to be on here to talk to the women tuning in, it's around reclaiming your power because as women, we sometimes put our goals and dreams on the back burner and, living with intention and purpose and tuning into that passion, whatever it is that, calls us, and then ultimately creating our legacy based on our day-to-day actions and, long-term. So I love so much about, this idea of passion, right? And clearly, based on what, I've heard from you and is that living a purpose-filled life is important, right? That we tune into that passion. And do you have any tips for, the women that are tuning in? I know you have a passion. Is it a passion test, passion quiz?
Yeah, I do have a passion test. I also have a free download that people can begin to use to help themselves to begin to discover what that is. It's not as thorough as finding your passions, because when you find your passions, you want to not just focus on work. You want to focus on every area of your life because you're not a segmented human being. Your love life is going to affect your work life, is going to affect your home life, is going to affect your efficiency. So you have to consider the whole gamut of what it is that you love in all areas of your life so that you can now begin to put a plan together of what you should be doing. It's not just what do I love to do as work.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah.
It's like your whole life, looking at you as a complete human being, and then starting from there and then mapping it backwards to see, well, I've got all these gifts and talents and things that I love. Now, how can I make this work? So that's what that does. The passion test actually does for people.
Yeah. I know. And something that I love about that, because I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, what is my one purpose? And the truth is we have multiple purposes, we have multiple passions, and being able to gather them all together to, create our to be complete, right? And live a life in that wholeness that we are as individuals, is so important. And one thing that kind of came up for me when you were speaking was I went to law school, I became an attorney, and now I feel called to help empower women, in the same way, especially moms who get stuck or put their lives on the back burner. Because one thing that somebody said to me when I found out that I was pregnant was, oh, your life is over now that you're having kids. And I was like, hold on. No, it's not, because now my purpose shifts a little bit, because now I'm this little human being's role model. Like, she is going to be the first person that teaches her anything. Like, I'm going to be the first person that teaches her anything. And so now my role and my purpose is even more significant in this world because, I'm bringing a human into this world that I need to, bring up. So I think that, knowing, and for all, the women tuning in, that you don't have to have just one purpose. There's not just this one thing. You can be, they have this idea of like, it's multi-passionate, right? And you have multiple passions, but figuring out how you can all make it work together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of women fall down. I believe that we have multiple passions. There may be one single purpose for us in the world, but I believe that there are multiple passions, and those passions tend to lead you to where that purpose is that you need to go. But you're very right. So many women become pregnant, have kids, and then they shut themselves down. You can provide for this one lovely human being. In my case, there were 6. three biological, I will quickly add.
Yeah.
But, at one point, I found myself raising 3 kids on my own. Even as a married woman, I felt like I was a married single mom.
Yeah.
And my purpose then, as it was yours, was to ensure my kids got every single thing that they needed to flourish as successful human beings. And then, of course, I had a full-time career that I was also carrying then, and a quite demanding one, as well as completing multiple advanced degrees. First my master's, then my doctorate degree, all while my kids were young. And you know what is very wonderful is that they never felt neglected. And so there is a way that you can do that. Now, I feel that because I set that example for them, that they are now able to live their lives. Because even quite recently, my kids are all adults now, and I get text messages or phone calls from them, like one I got from my daughter this week or last week. Mom, I can't believe you raised us all by yourself, but you did it. She's the same one who said, Mom, you know, you're the most powerful woman I know. Woo! Let me tell you, that one just almost scared me up. You know, your own kid, because, you know, you make mistakes with them. They see your weaknesses, they see your strengths, they see it all. Yeah. And they're saying that. And then here's my son, who is a man of few words. You know, Mom, I have big shoes to fill. I've seen you work, and you've set such a great example for me that, you know, I have big shoes to fill. I just had to tell him, you've got your own shoes, darling, not mine. Yeah. Everybody has his or her own shoes. But, you know, to hear words like that coming from your kids, I feel very grateful that I was able to learn the strategies, apply them at home, make the mistakes that I made, and still my kids recognize that all those things that I did in my life, which were my purpose then, touched their lives in such a way that now they can fully function as leaders in the world because of the role model that they've seen Mom set for them. So yeah, when those little babies come along, it's not just, and I mean, I had full intentions of being just a mom and a wife, I will admit. But the turn of events in my marriage didn't allow that. Yeah. And it was a blessing in disguise, you know, it really was. Because I don't know, and I'm not bashing any mom. Moms, you have to do what their hearts tell them to do. Yeah. If your heart tells you this is what you need to do, stay home, focus on your kids alone, follow your heart. That will never lead you in the wrong place. And I will also say that your heart will probably say at some point in time, what contribution can I make to humanity? And that's when you need to tune in, because now that is a role model for your kids. Yeah. They're going to live what they see. Yeah. So they see you going out there, being a leader, starting organizations, helping out, volunteering, whatever it is, starting a business, whatever it is, you are the role model for your kids.
There's so much that I love about what you just said. You know, as my daughter's only 2, so I only, you know, like I pray, you know, that I am able to raise her, you know, in a way that, you know, one day I get those text messages where I'm like, okay, I didn't do such a, you know, bad job, or, you know, because I think especially for kind of newer moms, you know, at the beginning, we're still trying to figure everything out, right? As moms, it doesn't come with an instruction manual. Maybe it gets easier after the first, I don't know, but we're always questioning whether or not we're doing a good enough job, right? And so knowing that, I think acknowledging that we are standing in our power and doing the best that we can in the very moment is so important. And then, you know, this idea with some of my clients, we talk about, there's some who have just had a baby, are anxious to get back to work. There's some who have just had a baby and are thinking about getting out of the workforce completely and just being with their child. And so I think that's such a great point that you made regarding do whatever your heart is calling to, but do what that little voice is telling you, or what your gut is telling you to do.
The gut.
Yeah. Not necessarily what every, you know, society, social media, right, you know, the books are telling you to do, right, but go with that gut and that internal, you know, the intuition.
That's right.
Instincts. And let me ask you this, because I know that you're so passionate about empowering women. and kind of finding their passions. Have you always kind of pursued your passion and felt like you lived in this kind of intentional living type of a way or purpose-filled? And if not, what was your turning point?
Wow, that's a really great question. I started off my whole career as an educator. At that point, I felt like that's where I needed to be.
Yeah.
And so I rose up the ranks, you know, from school leadership to the executive leadership in the school district office. And then I finally became head of Department of Education and professor at a university. Now, throughout all of that, I can't say I really hated it. It was during the last parts of it that I began to, it was about 2013, truthfully, when I began to tune in to realize that life is much more than this, because I had reached the top of my career. I was making that six-figure income. Everything that I wanted, I had gotten.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I thought, this cannot be it. I do not see myself sitting around for another 20 years doing this.
Yeah.
You know, this feels empty. And it was at that point that I started searching and then made a few mistakes, jumped into some businesses, listening to my head, you know, of what I think would work just because, you know, everybody's doing it. And then after that business failed, I thought, I need to really tune in here and to figure this out. So I discovered my passion. You know, the funny thing is, it was not discovered, it was there all along. Because I actually had found a paperwork that I had written what my mission in life was. And the exact thing I wrote when I was in my 20s was the exact thing I came around to doing now. Which is leaving people's lives better than when they found me. That's what I had written on that piece of paper. Wow. And so I discovered, like, in talking to people and in coaching people, not for money at the time, they would say, wow, you know, I feel so great. You're so wise. These kinds of things, you know, and I thought, I don't know if I want to be a coach. Everybody's being one, you know. And I'm not one who always want to go with the masses.
Right.
So I thought, you know, wow, I ran from it for a little bit. I did. I ran from it for a little bit and tried to get into the online marketing only. And that picked up some. But you know, the funny thing is that when I spoke to people and when I was able to make a difference in their lives, that's when I felt the happiest and the most fulfilled. And so I started tuning into that, you know, and it's just been completely amazing how my life has turned out just for following my intuition. And there are studies that really back this up. When you follow the things you love, your health improves, your longevity improves, a lot of things improve in your life. So following your passions may just be the thing you need if you're unhappy in life right now. Yeah. You know, it just may be that one thing that will start that spark for you to make you begin to feel fulfilled. So that's really how I ended up here. And I am here.
And I love, all that you're doing. And what resonated with me so much was that, so I became an attorney and I started my practice and I was like, is this it? Like, I'm forever grateful to be where I'm at, but is this it? Because I feel like I'm meant to make a bigger impact. I'm meant to reach more people. And that was, I had turned 30 and then 6 months later, I found out I was pregnant. And so everything was just like, okay, let's do this internal work and really go inside and, pull out that passion. And it's funny that you say, that your passion or, whatever will lead you to your purpose is there. And when I was about 5 years old, I wanted to be a teacher. And what I have found is that when I meet with my clients, I'm educating them around estate planning, around how, legacy coaching and how to create their legacy in the world. And I'm teaching, not in the traditional sense, but that teacher is in me and it's coming out. And so I love that you say, it's all there. It's always been there, but tuning into your intuition is very important. And again, the holistic part of, you know, tuning into your passion, right? Your health gets better, your, you know, stress levels go down. There's so many benefits to essentially getting in alignment with who you are.
Completely.
Yeah. And you do, you know, you love to empower women. What does empowered mean to you, or what does empowerment mean to you?
For me, empowerment means taking on your own power. A lot of people don't really realize that I'm actually writing a book called Power, Why You Don't Have It, How to Get It.
Ooh.
And I think people don't realize their power. I believe our schooling, our society, and everything that we have come to interact with in life seems to want to separate us from ourselves, to separate us from our intuition, to separate us from that inner voice. And so we began learning to look to a teacher to teach us, to look to society to provide for us, to look outside of ourselves to get the answers to questions that we need. And so more and more, that looking outside has actually taken us away from that internal compass and guide that is a sure path to discovery, self-discovery. And so when people are empowered, it's reconnecting them to that internal guide so that they are able to discover for themselves, to trust their intuition more, to rely on their intuition for answers to questions. We are a universal, impactful knowledge. We all are universal in terms of our knowing. And by tapping into that source, I know the metaphysicians now have brought all of that, what people used to call woo-woo stuff, they brought it all to the scientific realm. And it's amazing and mind-blowing when you read the research on how this thing works. You know, it really is. So people have to learn to tap inside, to learn to trust their own intuition. And a lot of the things that fall apart as a result of not tuning in will begin to come together if people tune in. We've been taught to think, you know, I'm highly intellectual, right? I stay in my head for a number of years because that's how I was taught, to reason, to think, and there's nothing wrong with that. The first place to tap, though, is in your intuition. Then you go to your reasoning to see how you're going to carry it out. But what we do is the opposite. We go there. And what is inside here? The things that somebody else has taught us, the things that we've read somewhere else, all of that. And those are not necessarily wrong stuff, but the gut, the intuition is where you first need to run everything by. So when you're empowered, you're grounded. You can stand on your two legs. You can be certain that whatever you are about to do is what you are supposed to do. And you can feel strengthened in that thought of knowing that you are on the right track.
Yeah, I love that because, you know, in speaking with lots of clients, and even I have to remind myself to get out of here and drop into here, into kind of, you know, the lower part of my body where my brain is not, you know, the wheels are not all turning. So I think that's great. And I love, can you, if you had, one final question for you is, if you had one piece of advice for the moms that are tuning in, who are, you know, feeling stuck or feeling like they're trying to find their purpose, passion, meaning in the world, what would be your one piece of advice that you'd like them to walk away with from your interview?
Trust your heart. Mm-hmm. Trust your heart. And then I'm going to add another piece, if you don't mind. But the first one really is trust your heart. When I say your heart, I'm talking about your intuition, that gut sense.
Yeah.
The next thing is cue into your emotions, those feelings. Approach everything in life from a position of gratitude and love. Gratitude and love. Love is that universal language that heals everything, even on the inside.
Yeah.
And if you can approach your day understanding that your gratitude and the love that you can well up on the inside is not just only healing internally, it's also a wonderful thing for the little darlings around you, your kids. You know, they pick up on it. And whatever energy you're putting out there is the energy that they will pick up and run with, because they're in the same space like you are. So you transfer your energy to them. Yeah. And if you want to produce successful kids, positive kids, you yourself have to be that. So trust your gut and be in a position of gratitude and love. Yeah. And that's huge. It sounds simple, and some people are just going to blow it off, but I am saying that those are powerful principles from which to live your lives.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, I think the transfer of energy is such a great point, because as, you know, as a mom to a toddler, if I start to get frustrated, or I'm trying to send an email, or I'm trying to, you know, I'm not distracted, my daughter will start acting out because I'm not present with her, because I'm not, you know, in that space with her. So that's such a great point about how we transfer our energy. If we're frustrated, we're feeling maybe down, low energy or whatever, our children will pick up on that.
Oh yeah.
It's so important for us to, you know, reach out to someone like you who can help us, you know, figure out what's going to give us that, I guess, to tune into that zest for life, where we're excited about what we're doing, and we're, you know, we're passionate about, and we wake up with gratitude and love and excited for whatever the day is going to bring. So I love that. I love that. Thank you so, so much, Dr. Gwen, for joining us and for, you know, sharing your insights with us. And if the women tuning in would like to reach you, what's the best website or email, whatever you want to share?
Sure. The email would be info@thedrgwen.com. And I have a free training that they could access on the website. There's a webinar, as a matter of fact, that's coming up, and maybe this will come up after the broadcast. And it is thedrgwen.com/the thriving moms, I think.
Ooh, okay, perfect. And I get that from you so we can share that with all of the women tuning in. Yeah. That's awesome.
So info at the Dr. Gwen. My website is thedrgwen.com, and they can go there to read up more about me and to see what other resources are there to help them.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so, so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next interview. Have a good day.
Bye.